Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of RiesKitchen. Today we're going to be making one of those absolute country classics, and that's the sponge cake. Found every time ladies are asked to bring a plate. So let's get straight into it, shall we? We have eggs, castor sugar, corn flour, in this case of course made from corn to be gluten-free, cream of tartar, baking powder, vanilla. Then for the middle, some thickened cream and strawberries, and then we'll make a passion fruit icing with icing sugar and passion fruit. Now to get started, there's two preparatory things we need to do. Our tins and get our eggs ready. So we want to get the greatest volume out of our egg whites. We want them to be at room temperature and we want a warm, clean, dry bowl. So the first thing to do is to put some warm water, slightly warmer than lukewarm, in your bowl, and then pop our eggs in there to bring them up to temperature. Now it's always worth investing in a good quality tin. So this is my sponge cake tin. It's got a straight side, and in this case they're 8" or 20 centimetre, and you need two for this recipe. So what we need to do is grease and flour. I have a concoction here that I'm going to use as my shortening, and for all the details on what's in this, check out my blog at the link below. But now it's just about painting well the bottom and all the sides of your tin. So to start cooking, we first need to separate our eggs, and then in putting our whites in our nice warm bowl that we've cleaned and dried. I'm going to add just a pinch of salt as well, just to help us get the volume. And then we whip these until they come up to soft peaks. Almost. Perfect. So you can see that the little peak holds. So now we need to gradually add our castor sugar, and then we're going to whip it until we get to really glossy, firm peaks. I'll add about a third now. Not quite. Perfect. You can see how it's holding from the drip from the beater down, so that's when I know it's done. Now it's important with the next step that when we are adding ingredients into our egg white that we're gentle and we just use a folding action so as not to remove all that beautiful air that we've just put in here. So now we add our 4 egg yolks and the vanilla, and we just fold those through. So now we sift together our dry ingredients of the cream of tartar, baking powder and flour. So again, we just fold through this flour until everything's just well combined. Now I want to make sure that both my cakes are going to be the same height, or as close as I can. So the best way to do that is to make sure we put the same amount of volume of batter into each tin. Now I know that this mix will make around 500 grams worth of mix, so I want approximately 250 grams in each one. And rather than judging by eye, I have them on the tin on my set of scales, which I'm just going to zero down so that it weighs nothing. And I'm going to start with around the 245 grams in here and then even them up. So that's 250 in that one. Now for our second tin. Now when cakes rise, they always rise a little bit more in the middle. So because we're going to be decorating this, we want them as flat as we can. So it's important to make just a little divot in the top. And the last most important tip is to make sure that we haven't got a large air bubble that's occurred when we poured into the tin. We literally pick up our tin and drop it. And you'll see that the small air bubbles have popped up the top. And so now these go into the middle of a preheated oven at 165 for 20 to 25 minutes. So you can tell a sponge is cooked when it starts to move away from the tin, which these guys have. So we want to turn them out and pop them on our cooling racks. But you'll see that I have wrapped my cooling rack here up with a tea towel. Because the sponge is so delicate, we don't want the grid marks from the cooling rack. So now for the moment of truth. Ha ha! So I've got a second cooling rack with another tea towel. Pop it on top and then very carefully. Now we just let them cool. Now for the next bit, which is decorating our cake, there are no rules. What I'm going to do today is very traditional. Strawberries are in season, so I'm going to use fresh strawberries. There's no reason why you can't use jam. It's easy to do it on the stand you're going to use it with. That way you're not having to shift the cake again. So I have my cake here. I have it upside down. So what this was in the bottom of the tin is now, because it gives me the flattest surface. Okay. So that you don't end up with too much cream, we just put a circle in the middle. And then remember, everyone's going to see the edges. So it's the edge that's important. So now I'm going to lay my slices of strawberries so you get the maximum view from the edge. So once you're happy that you've done all of that, we need to put the top on. And again, we're going to have it so the bottom is on the top. So the last step is to make our passion fruit icing. So I have some sifted pure icing sugar, and you do need to sift it because once you put the passion fruit in, you can't take the lumps out. So as you start to mix that in, it'll look like it's not enough. But here I have a dish with some boiling water in it, and I'm just going to pop my icing in there for a minute, and it's just going to help liquefy that. Now to get the smooth top, we want to be able to use a spatula to smooth it over because we don't get a couple of goes because it'll just get sticky. Now don't forget to check out my blog at the link below for all the recipe details from today. But the bit I can't wait for is the eating. The cake is so light. The strawberries and cream are just luscious, but the absolute star of this today is the passion fruit icing. So until next time everybody, ciao.